great day, everyone. This is Jason Santos, and this time we are going to discuss self awareness and regulation, session 2 for service culture. This is session 2 because during the first session, we have outlined the list of the topics that will be covered throughout the semester. However, I have not made a video for that, and this is going to be the first lecture video. So if you need a list of all the topics that we will be discussing for this subject, you can send me an email or contact me on the contact information that I regularly flash at the end of my presentations. So yeah, let's get started. So by the way, this subject was recently added. This was just added um, in 2017 through CMO order number 33, and the reason for this is because of the increase in opportunities, particularly in business process outsourcing. So there was an addition of several subjects like BPO, yeah, and service culture. Um, I forgot the rest of the subjects, but there are around 4 to 6 subjects added on the business curriculum. So, yan, that's the reason why we have these new subjects. And for service culture, self-awareness, here are a few objectives that we will be covering. So first, we have to understand the importance, explain the importance of self-awareness and self-regulation, and discuss how their practice helps demonstrate the capacity for leadership. So this is all linked on leadership, all right? So later on, we will see that. Second, analyze situations in which self-awareness and regulation play a significant role, again, in leadership. So this is a prerequisite of leadership. Third would be to resolve, practice self-awareness and self-regulation in order to further develop leadership capacity. So bottom line, if you understand the three objectives here, they are all centered around the topic of leadership. In order for someone to be able to lead properly, they must know themselves or be very self-aware, very much self-aware. So, this is because in the modern workplace, meaning yung current workplace, yung workplace natin ngayon, technical skills take a second place. Okay? So, secondary na lang siya. Least priority. Okay? To an employee's ability to learn the job. Okay? On the other hand, communication skills, adaptability, being adaptable to change, being creative, being responsive, personal management, managing your own self, motivation, motivating other people, contributing to the team, contributorship, social skills, and leadership potentials are specifically identified as the desirable traits. Kumbaga, if you're going to hire people or promote people, yun yung mas mahalagang characteristics nila, skills, soft skills na dapat meron sila as compared to technical skills. Yes, everyone can be very good with computer or they can be very good with this and that, but if they do not communicate properly, they don't have they have poor social skills. They cannot motivate their employees or their subordinates. They are not creative, not adaptable, may konting change lang nagrereklamo kagad. Not responsive, hindi nagsumasagot sa mga messages or whatnot. So, it's useless kahit magaling siya technically. So, that's the reason why we are trying to understand self-awareness and regulation here. Okay, so what is self-awareness? Awareness is about having or showing a realization, being able to realize, perceive, no, perception, or knowledge. Pag sinabi mong knowledge, malalim na yan, no? Almost a few inches away from wisdom, ano? Of a concept, situation, circumstance, or a person. So, kapag ka self-aware ka daw, you know the situation, okay? You can analyze the situation, you can analyze the circumstance, or even the person. You can look at the person and be able to understand how you should approach him, how you should handle him or her. Okay? So that's a little definition for self-awareness. Kasi again, mamaya makikita natin what self-awareness is all about. Self-awareness also allows us to recognize our place and role in the world. So yan, it's funny kasi when I'm discussing this to students, no, sometimes we laugh because when you talk of being able to realize your skills, no, you're fully self-aware. So alam mo where you're really good at, and then you concentrate on that. Common joke namin is that minsan may mga tao na hindi nila alam sa sarili nila, hindi sila magaling kumanta, hindi magaling sumayaw, but they're pushing themselves on that particular track kahit na makikita mo talaga na hindi yun yung skill nila or that's not their gift. Okay? So sometimes we can say that they lack self-awareness, and many of us have been in that position, where we are trying to push ourselves in a certain area or a certain direction, and then later on realize hindi naman pala talaga yun yung place ko or role in the world. So you're wasting time. If you are self-aware, if you know where you're good at, what's your role, okay, you're being effective and efficient. Express thoughts and behaviors based on them. So here are some of the questions in order for you to gauge your self-awareness, or I ask students about this, and then they answer it in a sheet of paper. So siguro kayo, if you're watching this, you can answer this, and then later on we will see the answers. So question number 1, during a conversation, do you listen to others, or B, do you tend to do a lot of talking? Pag sa usapan ba, sa conversation, ikaw yung mas maraming sinasabi or ikaw yung nakikinig? So pili ka, A or B. And then number 2, A, do you ask others how they feel about the situation? So you ask them, how do you feel? Or how do you feel about the situation? Or B, you make assumptions based on your own feelings. So parang, hindi kasi ganito yan. Dapat ganito gawin mo dyan. You're already assuming, no? Based on, kasi ganito ang alam ko dyan, dapat ganito gawin mo. So A or B. Number 3, do you think about how your actions affect others? So iniisip mo ba if you do this, how you're going to make the other person feel? Or B, are you confident that others are fine with how you handle situation? Or parang meron ka ng preconceived notion na hindi, kahit anong gawin ko, I'm confident that I can handle this. I can handle the situation. So you select A or B. And then finally, number 4, are you aware of other people's social cues? Like, marunong ka bang magbasa? Are you able to read other persons, yung mga mannerisms, facial reactions? No. We call that cues. So do you think you can read or are aware of these cues? Or B, do you mostly focus on your own? Mas mahalaga sa iyo yung sarili mong itsura, sarili mong cues. Paano ako magre-react on this situation or that situation? So, ayun those are some of the questions lang naman. Kasi there are a lot of ways on how you can gauge self-awareness. Pero ito, just more of a summarized, shortcut version of the self-awareness gauge. So, yan. Actually, there's number 5. Ayan. Can you admit when you are wrong? Pag mali ka ba, can you admit it? and apologize, or B, you tend to think that things are wrong because of others. So kahit alam mo na may mali ka, you still point out to other people. So the answer to this is ganito, no? If you've answered mostly A, no, it means you are more self-aware. So the higher you answered letter A, no, with let's say 4 or 5, ganun yung level of self-awareness mo. Pero kapag mas marami yung answer mo na letter B, that means that you need to work on your self-awareness. Okay? So yan. Now, self-awareness was based on several theories. Ano? Maraming mga theories na pinagbasihan yan. And I'm just going to breeze through these theories. Ano? For example, the first one would be developmental theory by John Piaget. Ayan. Assumes that a child's thinking changes at the precise onset of a particular development stage. So yan, mayroong developmental stages, ano, and it starts from a young age, okay? And then the child focuses the process of assimilation and accommodation. So ginagaya niya yung mga tao sa paligid niya, no? Assimilation. And then you accommodate, no, accommodation of traits. No, maybe I can copy this or that, no, but they do that subtly, no, or they do that hindi nila iniisip, ano, pero kusa na siya na-adapt ng bata. Developmental theory, no, states that growing up influences a child's capacity to understand the world. Children cannot do particular tasks until they are psychologically mature enough to do so. So, ayan, ano. I disregard this one, ano. Children daw needs to be in a certain psychological maturity to be able to do tasks. Okay? Increase their capacity. And then as they grow up, ano, yung collective influences nila develop who they are at the present. So development yan, from the term itself. And you have cognitive development, no? According to Andrea Demetriou, there are some people who are just born with high level of self-awareness because of their faster cognitive development rate, no? Mas mabilis talaga yung ano nila, mental capabilities nila, core processes, mental operation, knowledge and beliefs. Yan. Explain intellectual development. Okay, individual differences in the rate. Yan, magkaiba ng rate, mas mabilis. Direction of intellectual development and cognitive mechanisms, underlying development, and the actual differences that occur between changes. So, those are some of the theories, ano? And then there's this Maslow's theories. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with this. Ito, gas-gas na ito, no? This is very commonly used. And this plays a factor din daw in the development of self-awareness, of course. If you are still at the lower stages of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then you have a lower level of self-awareness. Kasi the higher yung self-actualization, no, in order for you to reach the pinnacle, yung pinakamataas na level of need, means you have overcome certain stages in life, ano, where you don't have to worry about your food, your house, you don't have to worry about safety, about love, about self-esteem. You have already gone past that. So what does this mean? It means that sometimes self-awareness is aligned with age. The older you are, the more self-aware you are, no? So minsan may kinalaman din siya sa age and wisdom, no, level of wisdom. So yun yung sinasuggest ng Abraham Maslow's theory, no? Understanding the areas of self-awareness helps us gain insight on the various aspects of our lives. Yeah. And include competency areas that influence our holistic personal development. So yan, that's the importance of having or developing self-awareness. Another activity I'm also using and I have used for my students is the animal in you. No, what I do is I ask them to draw an animal, no, and then they will submit it to me, and then from the drawings, we will interpret what certain characteristics do they have, what are their strengths and weaknesses, so on and so forth. So there's a guide, no? Kung anong animal yung drawing niya, paano siya nag-drawing, paano yung strokes, paano yung itsura ng drawing. If you would like to have a copy of that activity, no, you can again shoot me an email and I'll let you have an idea about that activity, ano. Pero it's a good way of, again, another additional additional tool of determining someone's level of self-awareness, no? So it's also a fun activity to use to students. And then finally, we have this Johari window. The Johari window, this is a very fun activity. The reason why it's called the window is because there are 4 quadrants. Okay. The 4 quadrants would be Q1 public self, Q2 private self, Q3 blind self, and Q4 undiscovered self. Okay. And what I do is I show students this list of characteristics. Okay. So they are shown this, and then what they would do is they would select 5. Pipili sila ng 5 characteristics from this list that best defines them. Let's say you feel na ikaw ay isang uri ng you are a person who is adaptable. You know, kahit anong situation ang kalagyan mo, you can adapt. Hindi ka nagpapanik masyado, nalulusutan mo siya, so on and so forth. Or let's say you feel na you are a shy person. Ano? Ako yung tao na ayokong makiparty, I don't like to talk to people unless sila yung makipag-usap sa akin, so on and so forth. So, again, I'm asking them to select 5 and then they put it in their paper. Now, their paper gets passed around. Ano, pinapapasa ko siya sa klase. And then, other students would select a certain characteristic that they think best defines the person. It could be the first one na pinili nila. So, kunwari, pinasahan ako kunwari, Mark. Si Mark, pinasahan niya ako ng papel niya. Tapos, nilagay niya sa papel niya, siya ay quiet. No? Sinelect niya yun. If I agree with Mark, pwede ako mag-check ulit or maglagay, i-encircle ko siya or whatever. So, dalawa kami na nagsasabi na quiet siya. However, if I don't agree, sa tingin ko, hindi naman quiet si Mark eh. Niloloko niya lang ako, siya ay magulo. Siya ay, let's look for something opposite. Extroverted. Yan, extroverted. So, sabi niya, quiet siya. And then, sabi ko, no, Mark is extroverted. So, what's gonna happen is this, later on, we will tally the results. Okay? So, itatali natin siya after sending your paper to several people. Okay? So, yung pagsisend din ng paper to people, iba-iba yan. You'll send it to a man, a woman, your closest friend, and someone na hindi mo masyadong ka-close. No? And then, from the tally, we would be able to understand, Q1 are the traits that I see and you see, meaning ito yung mga nilagyan ko ng tip, yung pinili ko, I said ko, I am quiet, you said I am quiet. So that's public self. That is openly shared and open for discussion. And then Q2, private self, I see, you do not see. Okay, so let's say I chose mature. No? Sinabi ko, I am mature. Private self siya kapag pinili ko yung mature pero walang ibang pumili. It means ako lang yung nakakaalam nun. Some things just cannot be shared. there is a feeling of vulnerability attached to the fear of disclosing the information. So sometimes it's better off as a secret unless the trust is already established. So, ayan, private self yan, ano? Yung ikaw lang yung pumili. And then yung Q3 would be blind self. I do not see, you see. So, for example, hindi ko pinili yung clever. And then, ikaw, sinabi mo na ako ay clever. So, that falls in the blind self. Lalo na kung kunwari marami nagsabi na clever, no? 5 kayong tao na nagsabi na clever ako. So, meaning, that's a trait na hindi ko alam. Ganun na pala yung pinapakita ko sa ibang tao, no? Sabi dito, naive. You're naive. Ganun na pala ang tingin sa akin na ibang tao, but I don't know that. Okay? So, ito yung window na kailangan mong tingnan talaga, no? Constitutes characteristics other people say they notice about us, but of which we are not aware of. Especially if the characteristic is a little bit or somehow negative. Like for example, marami nagsabi dito na you are silly. No? Makulit ka daw. Pero hindi mo alam na makulit ka pala, no? Pero ganun na pala yung tingin sa'yo ng mga tao. There will be some occasions na parang okay lang siya, but let's say at work, do you think it's okay for you to play silly all the time? Of course, no. There will be cases wherein we have to be serious and we have to accomplish certain tasks as fast as possible, no? So, yun. That window you would have to look at. Q4, I do not see, you do not see. So, this is the undiscovered self. So, there will be some characteristics that are simply not yet discovered. Ano? Kasi, again, self-awareness comes with age. No? There will be a case in your life na sabi mo, ako, I am a very quiet person. No? I don't really like to mingle with people. I'm shy. And then later on in life, no, because of work requirements, because of the people you have been friends with, no, you develop some level of extroversion and confidence. So, nagbago yung nagbago yung trait mo. No? So, what we're trying to say here is that in Q4, people are looked at as an evolving creature. No? Nagbabago talaga yan. Okay? So, aspect of self often discovered by both or either person much later. So, later mo na siya madidiscover. Ano? So, yan. Those are the 4 windows no, under Johari window. And again, these are the different personas. Ano? So, yan. This is a tool that identifies quadrants. So, this is regularly used and often used kahit sa work no, pag mga team building ginagamit yan in order for people to understand themselves fully, and this activity is very good. I suggest if you have time try to answer this Johari window activity. Now we have learned self-awareness, no? So kanina pa natin sinasabi yung self-awareness. We understood the term. And then there are certain activities that we have employed in order to understand ourselves. No? And then what are the benefits of being self-aware? If you are self-aware, there will be such a time wherein you will reach a level of self-regulation. So ano ibig sabihin ng self-regulation? It is a stage where awareness of certain behavior leads to self-policing action. Ikaw na mismo yung pupulis, no? So, ikaw na mismo yung nagpipigil sa sarili mo. Ikaw na yung nagbabantay sa mga actions mo. Because you're self-aware, no? Or the capacity to alter behavior, ayan, no? Kaya mo nang baguhin yung behavior mo. It determines how we can choose to respond and the way we do respond to particular situations, circumstances, events, and people. For example, ikaw, mainitin yung ulo mo or mabilis kang mapikon. And you are self-aware. Alam mo na ganun kang klase ng tao. No? So, you have the ability later on to alter your behavior. when you are placed in situations na medyo napipikon ka na, parang pinipilit mo pa rin ngumiti at saka lumayo, no? Lumalayo ka sa situation. Kasi alam mo na eh, that's what you call self-regulation. Alam mo na sa sarili mo na ayoko magpakita rito ng pagiging pikon ko. So, I'm going to alter my behavior. No? That's the mental process that's happening habang may mga nang-aasar sa'yo or whatever. O di kaya, alam mo sa sarili mo na, let's say, you are an alcoholic and then you do bad things when you are drunk. Okay? So, what do? You self-police. No? Ikaw na mismo yung umiiwas. Alam mo kasi sa sarili mo na kapag nakainom ako, I might do this or that, may napapaaway ka, or kung ano ng mga ginagawa mong bad behaviors, ano. So, pag may nagiya sa'yo, tara, inuman tayo. I'm sorry, I can't kasi I have this or that. You have alibis. When in reality, well, you're just making up the alibis because you are self-policing, no? You are trying to regulate yourself because you are self-aware. And that's good, ano? That's not bad. Maganda yung nasa ganong level ka na of self-awareness eh. Meaning, alam mo na yung capacity mo, no? Alam mo na yung weaknesses mo, yung strengths mo. And you choose your battles carefully. So, yung self-regulation din is also based on different theories. Like, I'll just read to them, ano? Social learning theory by Albert Bandura. Yan. Sabi nila, suggests that environment has an effect on the modeling. Yun, of course, yung level of self-regulation dependent yan sa environment eh, of course. Anong klaseng individuals ba yung nakasurround sa'yo, ano yung nasa ang klase ka ng work, yung family mo, yung upbringing, so on and so forth, no? Social learning theory assumes that people learn from one another. Yan, we learn from imitation, even modeling, ano, when we have idols, gusto ko maging kagaya niya, we imitate that person, ano. Social learning is considered the bridge between cognitive and behaviorist theories. Self-determination by Edward Desai and Richard Ryan. So, self-determination, people have psychological needs that are basis of self-motivation. So, yan. So, competence, relatedness, and autonomy. And then according to them, to endorse one's action at the highest level of reflection. No? Pag sinabi mong reflection, malalim na yan. Eh, no? Meaning, you are really thinking. No? You are giving time to assess yourself. Okay? When we are self-determined, we experience a sense of freedom. Yan, malaya ka. Kasi you already know yourself. Eh. No? Hindi ka bounded by parang you are stressed or you feel pressure and this and that. Because alam mo na kaya mo siya. No? You would be able to do this kasi, or you know your capacity. Alam mo pag hindi mo talaga kaya, so okay, hindi ko to kaya, you don't put yourself in that situation, right? So that's self-determination theory. So yan, phases of self-regulation, ayan, forethought, iniisip mo before the action is going to happen. You perform, there's a performance control, involves processes and utilization of strategies to reach success. Self-reflection, and you think of your actions, ano, past outcomes, performance, and then you compare that with your current goals. Okay? Yan. Setting standards and goals. How do you do that? You self-observe, no? You look at yourself. You monitor your own performance. This is a little bit work. We're starting to go to work terms na, no? Kasi again, the idea behind service culture is in order to train people, ano yan, service management, and when you are already working. So, yan, systematic monitoring of your own performance. How do you do, no? Paano ka ba magtrabaho? Systematic comparison of actual performance against goals, no? You self-judge, okay? And then self-reaction, personal process of evaluation that takes place during the activity. Yan. So, here are the methods of self-regulation. Yan. Correcting your wrong behavior, challenging yourself by criticizing negative behavior. Ayan. So, alam mo na, you have this negative behavior na mabilis kang sumuko, and then, since you are already self-aware, no, hindi, kaya ko yan. No? You challenge yourself. Kaya ko to. If others can do it, I can do it as well. Challenging defeatist attitude, ayan, yung una pa lang, iniisip mo na kagad, talo ka na, no? Defeatist attitude ang tawag doon, ano? You're challenging that, changing your reaction, ano? Let's say, may mga nangiinis sa'yo, you change your reaction, okay? These are just some of the ways on how you do self-regulation, okay? When we learn to identify specific positive or negative behavior, we go about consciously watching out for the cues, actions, or stimuli that trigger them. So, yun yung maganda kapag ka self-aware ka and you are already self-regulating. Alam mo na yung mga cues, yung actions. Alam mo na yung, kunwari, pagka ganito na yung action niya, hindi na maganda yon, ano? It means na, kunwari yung boss mo, gano'n na yung actions niya. So, ibig sabihin, we have to do this, no, para hindi siya mainis or hindi ma-aggravate yung situation ng boss natin, okay? Stimuli that trigger them. Then we can change our response patterns to stress and other triggers. We can correct ourselves consciously and challenge defeatist attitudes. So, when you apply it, okay, you always ask yourself with him. Ito palagi ko itong tinuturo sa mga students, ano? With him. Whenever you do things. So, ano yung with him? What's in it for me? Before you do things, ano bang magiging benefit sa akin if I do that? Meron bang magandang patutunguhan kapag ginawa ko to? No? So, that's also one way of using your ability, kasi again, sabi natin, ano, self-awareness is a prerequisite for leadership. Okay? So, when you are already self-aware, and you are using self-regulation, ano, you can tell your people to always ask themselves, ano, in order for you to train yourself to be more self-aware. What's in it for me? You ask that to yourself every time you start doing or before you even do something, ano, what's in it for me? Ano ba yung magandang benefit na makukuha ko dito? Okay? And then, yan, this is a sample case study that can be given to students, no? You ask them that question. Ayan, so that wraps up the first topic for service culture. I hope you have learned something from this video. I have more videos like this, and you can see them on the playlists I have created, and you can reach me on the following platforms. This is on YouTube. You can also reach me on Facebook or also on LinkedIn. Okay. Again, for activities or requests for copies of module, you can send me an email. Okay. You can just put your email on the comment section, by the way. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I hope you learned something. Please look forward to my second discussion, topic number 3 for service culture. And with that, thank you so much. To God be all the glory. Till our next video.